Today we are going to take a look at comparing rational numbers again. So we're kind of breaking it down into different sections. So first off, here we are comparing two rational numbers when they have different signs. Okay? So what that means is all that we need to be looking at is which one is positive, which one is negative. And we should know that any time that we have a positive number, it's going to be bigger than the negative number. So looking at number 1, we have negative 13 and we have positive 6. So for my work, all that I'm going to show is we have a negative and we have a positive. The negative number is always going to be less than a positive. Remember, when we are making our inequality sign, I think of less means left means this sign. So an L, if I turn it to the side, it looks like the less than sign. Right means greater, and the inequality sign looks like this. So left hand, right hand, inequality signs. So this is less than. All right, number 2, we're comparing 70 and negative 80. So 70 is positive, negative 80 is negative. A positive number will always be greater than our inequality sign. It's to the right, looks like that. Number 3, negative 12.75, that's a negative value. Positive 4.8 is a positive value. A negative will always be less than a positive. Less is on the left. Our inequality sign looks like that. Number 4, 17 and 5/6, that is a positive number. Negative 5 and 2/3 is negative. A positive is always greater than a negative, greater than our inequality sign. Looks like this. All right, now we're going to compare two rational numbers when they have different whole numbers. So they have the same sign, but different whole numbers. For number 5, this is a positive and this is a positive, but we are just looking at the whole numbers. So when I look here, we've got the whole number of 3 and we've got the whole number of 25. So whatever's to the left of the decimal. So we have 3 and we have 25. I don't need to think about the decimals. I'm just comparing these whole numbers. 3 is less than 25. Less than is on the left. Our inequality sign looks like that. Number 6, 5 and 1/7, 1 and 7/8. So again, they're both positive. We can't use that. We're going to look at the whole numbers. So the whole number in this one is 5. The whole number in this one is 1. 5 compared to 1, 5 is greater than, a 5-year-old is older than a 1-year-old. So it looks like that. Number 7, again, we've got negative 17.9 and we've got negative 5.3. They're both negative, so we're just looking at the whole number, not the decimal. My whole number here is negative 17. My whole number here is negative 5. So comparing negative 17 to negative 5. If these were positive, 17 is bigger than 5, but negatives work the opposite. Negative 17 is less than negative 5. A bigger negative is a smaller number. Negative 17 would be a very cold temperature. Less than is on the left. Our inequality sign looks like this. Number 8, negative 2 and 3/4, and negative 10 and 1/5. Both negatives, so I need to look at their whole numbers. The whole number here is negative 2. The whole number here is negative 10. If these were positive, 2 is smaller than 10. Negatives work the opposite, so negative 2 is greater than negative 10. A smaller negative is a bigger number. So that was with different signs and different whole numbers. Now let's look at some that have the same sign and same whole number. That means we have to actually look at the decimal or the fractional value to figure out which one is smaller or larger. So let's look at number 9. negative 5.4 repeating, and we have negative 5.4. So, when we're comparing, they have the same whole number, negative 5. They're both negative, they're both 5. What we have to remember is that this repeating line, this line above there means it's repeating. So this is negative 5.4 followed by another 4 versus this negative 5.4, although it looks the same, there's no line over it, so it's followed by a 0. So when we are looking at when they have the same whole number, same sign, we are ignoring the whole number. We are just looking at the number that follows the decimal. So I am just looking at 44 and 40. So just looking at that, 44, if it was a positive, would be bigger than 40, but we're talking about a negative. So negative 44 is going to be less than negative 40. Less than is on the left. Our inequality sign looks like this. Number 10, we have negatives, negative 11 for the whole number. So they have the same sign, same whole number. I am just going to look at the decimal value. So we have negative 11.81, negative 11.7. Right now this has 2 decimal values. This only has 1. So I'm going to add a 0, so they both have 2. So we are comparing 81 and 70. Be careful because they are negatives. Negative 81, negative 70. Normally 81 would be bigger than 70, but since it's a negative, it is less than. Left means less. That's our inequality sign. Number 11, negative 8 and 2/5 and negative 8 and 11 over 100. So they have the same sign, they have the same whole number. We are just looking at the fractional part here. So when I want to convert my fraction to a decimal, all I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in my numerator divided by my denominator. So 2 divided by 5 is 0.4. So negative 8.4. We don't put the 0 because that's not our whole number. Our whole number is negative 8. We just put in the decimal value. Same thing for negative 8 and 11 100ths. So I'm going to divide 11 by 100. Whoopsies. 11 divided by 100. And I get 0.11. So again, I'm not using the 0. That's not our whole number. Our whole number is negative 8.11. So now I'm just looking at this decimal value. We've got 4 and 11. Negative 4, negative 11. Normally, if they are positive, 4 is smaller than 11, but since it's a negative, it's actually greater than. Number 12, same sign, same whole number, just going to be looking at this fractional value. So I'm going to plug in 3 divided by 5 is 0.6. Our whole number isn't 0, it's negative 4, so it's going to be negative 4.6. And same thing for 7/10. 7 divided by 10 is 0.7. We're not using 0 for the whole number, we're using negative 4, so negative 4.7. Now we're just looking at the decimal value. Normally, if they were positive, 6 is less than 7, but since it's negative, negative 6 is actually going to be greater. A smaller negative is a bigger number.